He's reiterated his excitement to play in the Big Easy for another year.
I have no intention of going anywhere. I don't care what the offer would be or what the situation might be. I'm Who Dat Nation for life, and so as long as they'll have me and as long as I want to play, that's where I'll be.
So Drew Brees wants to be a Saint for life. We all want to be Saints for life.
Absolutely.
But here are some notable free agents they have to pay in the next 2 years. You can see that list right there. And just a reminder, when Brees signed his last contract, he was among the highest paid quarterbacks in the league. So guys, how do they keep Brees in New Orleans for life and give him that surrounding cast that he needs to have a complete team?
I felt like Jameis Winston from last year trying to find Brees in that picture. Squinting my eyes. But here's the thing. You know, speaking of having vision, it seems like the Saints have very clear vision. They have 2020 vision in 2020. They want to bring Drew Brees back. The question for me is, what's going to happen after that? What's your vision for the future?
Okay.
I get it. Right now, Drew Brees will be the guy who's going to ride off into the sunset. But who is the backup going to be? There's so many questions surrounding this team. They made the right decision. Drew Brees should retire a Saint. He is a legend. He brought that city back after they had a horrific incident that was a natural disaster heard around the world. And Drew Brees was one of the guys that is a pillar in that community.
Yep.
Now, what do you do after Drew Brees is done? Because as much as we can appreciate him fighting off Father Time, that can't happen forever, Kyle.
No, and especially when Teddy Bridgewater's probably going to go. Look, we don't know for sure, but he seems to be in demand in a big quarterback class, and he seems to be ready, and he wins last year. I just, you know, and what Drew said right there, there's something that popped out for me, and he says not only that he wants to be a Saint for life, he said, I don't care what the offer would be. I mean, that's a big quote right there from a guy who's made a lot of money year after year and who might have another title or two if he didn't make so much money. So it's very big on him being like, look, I'm coming back. I want to win one of these no matter what we got to do. It's an interesting thing with these Saints because right now they're on the heels of 3 backbreaking, I mean, biblically devastating season finales to end the year. And I really do think that this Saints regime not winning a Super Bowl, or not even getting to one, would be one of the most disappointing chapters we've seen with all the with that coach, with that dome, with that quarterback, to not even get back. You know, you look at like the Buffalo Bills, who never did it. They ran into
4 Super Bowls.
4 straight.
Right.
But, like, they ran into some juggernaut Cowboys teams. If you look at those 90s Knicks, they couldn't beat Jordan. It's understandable. These guys are losing to Kirk Cousins.
Right.
They're losing to Jared Goff. It's a grab bag.
And in some cases at home.
At home, like in multiple cases at home. So what I'm saying is, Drew Brees is hashtag unfinished business. And speaking of business, if he says, I don't care what the offer is, I think the Saints front office lights up. I think Teddy's gone, though.
Right.
So it's Drew, and then it's the great Taysom experience. They got to make this right. Disappointing chapter otherwise.
And Taysom Hill, though, says he wants to play and said he might have to leave to do that. So you could be talking about different depth completely behind Drew Brees if he makes good on that, unless somehow there's an idea that he gets more time and that can make him feel better. I don't know if it would, Nate, but maybe the promise of more time.
Yeah, and Taysom Hill wants to go somewhere to play quarterback because the money is different when you're a starting quarterback or even a backup quarterback. There's quarterbacks making anywhere from $5 to $10 million as a backup. But look at this pass. I mean, he is a beautiful creature of a man that plays the quarterback and every other position on the field.
It's one of the great mysteries in our league right now.
It really is.
There's no one looking to bring in Taysom Hill to be the starter right now, but unless Sean Payton's got plans for the future.
Kyle, I want to get back to something you said, though, because you make a great point when bringing up the Buffalo Bills. You know, you mentioned the comparison. And, yeah, being a Buffalo Bills fan, getting to 4 straight Super Bowls and losing is very disappointing. But as a guy who played 11 years and never sniffed the Super Bowl, the fact that the Buffalo Bills got there, it's kind of like you can hang your hat on that. Like, we were that good. We were one of the 2 teams that made it to the Super Bowl 4 years in a row. When it comes to the Saints, like, they haven't even got to the Super Bowl.
They lost no wild card round.
That's what I'm saying. So it's even worse. It's like an unfulfilled destiny of biblical proportions, especially when you consider the talent level that they had. And you know what? Another question is, I know we're talking about Drew Brees, but it's not just on Drew Brees' shoulders because Drew Brees had some games last year where you're like, he is nowhere near retiring. I'm questioning what's happening with the running game because when Mark Ingram left, it seemed like Kamara was sitting there like Will Smith in the living room during the last episode. Like, where did everybody go?
Where's the furniture?
The Fresh Prince is like, yo, I need Carlton. I need Jeffrey. I need Uncle Phil.
He gone.
Rest in peace, Uncle Phil. But I feel like Kamara is going to need somebody that it could be his running mate. And listen, Latavius did a great job in filling in that space. But Mark Ingram, it's like once he left, he almost took the identity,
Yeah,
the
that's a great
toughness
point.
with
You
the
see that,
team.
Kim?
That's
And he
a
injected
great-
it right on the Ravens.
That's a great point. Did you see Mark Ingram on our combine coverage?
yeah.
He's
That, he
spectacular.
is an electric
man.
personality
Yeah.
that guys would be gravitating toward. There's no
Mm-hmm.
doubt about that. I absolutely love that point, and I wouldn't have made it. That's a great point.
Yeah.
It's also, as it pertains to losing Ingram and year after year after year, I feel like each year for the Saints is like, all right, we had the heartbreak, now this is the year.
Right.
It is really hard to stay afloat year after year, no matter what. I mean, the coaching has to be amazing. The other teams get better. The other teams rise up. Eventually you fall off. I thought last year, I had the Saints at 8-8 last year. No insult to them. They're talented as hell. It's hard to stay afloat that long.
Yeah.
And you wonder, can they do it again now? How good does Sean Payton have to be as a motivator to be like, guys, one more time, let's pull ourselves up off the mat because this is terrible. I just wonder how long can you sustain it, even if Brees comes back.
And I don't wonder with Sean Payton that he can motivate his guys to get where they've been.
Mm-hmm.
It's now getting to that next step. And I think, with the Ingram issue, he's not coming back, obviously. In this draft, can they get a running back who can complement Kamara?
Yeah.
We know with running backs, they can have that instant impact. They can be that change of pace if that's what you need.
Yeah, and Sean Payton has tried everything.
Yeah.
He's tried brooms. He's withdrew money out of
case
the
of
bank,
money, right?
Straight cash.
Yeah, masks.
He's done masks. He's done the humble approach. It's going to be tough. But when talking to Cam Jordan, he's come on this show plenty of times. He said that, look, man, if you're looking at what we've been through, that is the ultimate motivation for us to get back. Yep. But guys, it takes a lot of punches and a lot of dusting off for you to figure out who you are. I don't understand why these guys haven't fulfilled exactly what the expectations are.
It's been a huge disappointment, 100%. That's why we come full circle now. This has been a period of record-breaking for the Saints. It's been Rookie of the Year on both sides of the ball.
You're right.
Michael Thomas just set the single-season record for
Catches
receptions.
everything thrown to him.
And what does it amount to? It amounts to a first-round exit. And I know those guys are furious. We have a tradition on Good Morning Football where every single year at the Super Bowl, we sit down with Cam Jordan.
Yeah.
And it's like, Cam, what happened this year? And Cam's always real honest, but he's always super dejected. And it's like they have an all-star team from the coach to every position. I saw the Niners in the Super Bowl. I saw the Vikings in the second round. It's either time, frankly, to bleep or get off the pot with the Saints in this era. Cash went in, or we got other teams to talk about.
And you got to figure, 2-year window at the most, probably,
2-year
with
window.
Brees?
This might be the grand finale.
Yeah. And we're going to talk about 2-year windows with a lot of people.
No doubt.
This league and quarterbacks are crazy right now. But
Eli's gone. Ben's on the way out. Rivers might be gone.
Right.
Still Drew here. This feels like one last job.
And we'll find out March 15th if Teddy Bridgewater is indeed going. And you say that he is. He's pretty much as good as gone. What's crazy about Taysom Hill is if he is indeed now the backup, then you can't use him in all of the other ways that you have. And he has been such as the X factor, the H-back, the halfback, the wide receiver.
Covering kicks.
He was doing it all. So now all of a sudden you're pulling a very important off the rest of your roster to sit behind Drew Brees and wait patiently because you're not going to run the risk of using him as a gadget guy if he's your only insurance plan to Drew Brees, who missed 5 games last year. They have a lot of decisions to make, and I'm not sure that Teddy Bridgewater is as good as gone if you consider that Taysom Hill is a huge part of their team. I don't know.
Isn't Hill most valuable in this role, though? I understand selfishly he wants to play, and I get that. I would
That's
too.
what I'm saying.
But he's so valuable to them in the role. If you can't use him in that role, then
he's fantastic.
Where are you?
Yeah.
I look at his perspective. He says, I want to get up to the big leagues.
Yeah,
I've done the trick plays.
Yep.
I've covered the kicks. Everybody oohs and ahs. I want to be the every down guy, and we don't know if we can. He may have to be eventually because I still think Teddy B is gone.
And speaking of the big leagues, there's a lot of college quarterbacks who want to get up to the big leagues.
Show,
yes,
right? How many quarterbacks could get drafted in the top 10? 2? 3?
Go on.
What about 4 wide receivers?
LeBron.